This is the fourth and final video for sections 5.3 and 5.6. You are going to be learning about the quadratic formula. Basically, it is considered the safety net, and to use it when all other methods fail, it will help you solve a quadratic solve a quadratic function, see where the x-intercepts are. This is generally used when all the intercepts are really kind of ugly non-integer answers. So this formula will always work for you, but I would encourage you to still use the other methods, solve by factoring and the root method. Use those if you can. They can be faster and easier, but it is true this method will never fail you, and if you're ever stuck, try it out. You'll notice there are letters in the formula A, B, and C. That comes from what you maybe think it would, is you need a quadratic function in standard form in order to use the quadratic formula, where your A is the coefficient in front of the x squared, your B is the coefficient in front of the x, and the C is your constant. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So if you're told to solve using the quadratic formula, you would notice this y equals negative 5x squared plus 4x plus 1. It's a quadratic function. It's in standard form. It looks like my a value is a negative 5. The y-intercept is 0, 1. When it's asking you to solve this, you're trying to find the x-intercepts. And let's do this using that quadratic formula. So in this case, if you look, our a value, like we said, is negative 5. The b value is 4. And the c value is 1. So now basically all you really have to do is plug it into the equation and simplify. X equals that negative b. I think of that as the opposite of b. So since b is 4, I'm going to do negative 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. So underneath that root, you've got a 4 squared minus 4 times negative 5 times 1, all over 2 times a. So all over 2 times negative 5. So if we clean this up, 4 squared is 16, and negative 4 times negative 5 times 1 is a positive 20. 2 times negative 5 is a negative 10. And then it looks like, I keep going, oops, that square root of 36 becomes a 6 all over negative 10. Now we do need to spend a little bit of time simplifying this. That plus or minus actually splits this into two different equations. I have a negative 4 plus 6 over negative 10, and I've got an x equals negative 4 minus 6 over negative 10. So to clean up the first one, negative 4 plus 6 is 2. So it looks like I have x equals a negative 1/5. And with my second, negative 4 minus 6 is a negative 10. Negative 10 divided by negative 10 is a positive 1. So these right here are my zeros or my roots. So my x-intercepts, I've got one at 1, 0, and then another one at negative 1/5, 0. So it'd be kind of right there, and just to guess right there. So this would be a skinnier parabola, which makes sense with an a value of negative 5. It would be upside down because that a value is negative. Let's try one more. Solve using the quadratic formula. This one is not quite ready to plug in our quadratic formula yet because we're not in standard form. So what I'm going to do is standard form. I'm going to get everything to the same side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract the 5x over and subtract the 8 over. And now I've got that quadratic function. Remember that this is kind of like your y right here. We're looking to see what happens when y equals 0. And now I'm ready to assign that a is 3, b is a negative 5, and c is a negative 8. If you don't get your equation into standard form first, you will have the wrong values for a, b, and c. So take the time to do that. All right, now we just plug in and go. X equals the opposite of b, so it's 5. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that's a negative 5 squared, minus 4 times a times c, so minus 4 times 3 times negative 8, all over 2 times a. So all over 2 times 3. So now to do some work simplifying. Five plus or minus the square root of 121 all over 6. So that gives me a nice x equals 5 plus or minus 11 over 6. So now I split that into 2. I have 5 plus 11 over 6, and I have x equals 5 minus 11 over 6. So it looks like I have x equals 16 over 6, and x equals a negative 6 over 6, which would be a negative 1. If you were going to sketch this out, then you'd have an intercept at negative 1 comma 0, and then 16 over 6 is what? Like 2, right around 2 2/3. So you'd have an x-intercept there and one right about there. Since the a value is positive, you know your parabola will be facing up, and that minimum value will be down here wherever the vertex is. All right, those are the examples in the videos for today. Please make sure that you check in for today's attendance. It's super important that you do that. Work on this book assignment and complete it. Take pictures and upload it into Schoology. Tomorrow, you'll be happy to know it's a catch-up day. There will not be a new assignment tomorrow, but there is a quiz. You need to log in tomorrow for attendance, and you need to take work on taking that quiz. It's a great day. We're now about 3 assignments in for this chapter to catch up and get some things turned in. Thanks so much. Check out the discussion board and be in contact with your teacher if you're getting stuck. Thanks so much.